We're trying something very different tonight. We're going virtual. We've got guests in the audience. We're trying to connect with Muta all the way from Jamaica. I think without taking too much time, I'd like to welcome everyone here that's both with us virtually and live with us from Curiosity. It's taken time to really try and put this together, but I think we'd all agree that we've been waiting for this moment. We are still trying to connect with Muta all the way from Jamaica. And as we're trying to get that going, I would like to introduce Lesego Rampolokeng. This wouldn't have been basically possible without him jumping on. We've had Bobby as well help us a lot to put this together, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. And welcome everyone to Curiosity. Welcome everyone who's virtually joined us on the Curiosity Africa Facebook page. And as we try and get Muta on, I would pass it forward basically to the Godfather himself. And none of this, the space where we are and what we do, would have been possible without his word. And I think it's guided us consciously and unconsciously to really create not just content but also businesses with a strong DNA. So we've done this before, and it's a continuation really of where we left off. Lesego, welcome.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I was supposed to be introducing Mutabaruka now, but since he's not online as yet, I suppose I should do the stopgap Mickey Mouse, funny monkey dressed in a suit thing, so that we can keep things going until he can get online. It's pointless me introducing him if he's not going to be jumping in immediately, obviously. So, in order to start and hopefully push the time until he can get on, let's just take the words of a few people who've been down this road before us, who've inspired us, whose ways have brought us here. I mean, we've spoken to Khositile here, to Makafula Vilagazi, and this is some kind of engagement we try to push with writers and people who create, who work with the word, who try to give life via the word itself. So let's do that. Peggy, you'll tell me when Muta comes on, right?
I will.
All right. If it doesn't come on, I'll just keep going with this crap poetry thing until you get tired, fall asleep, or I fall asleep. It matters very little. All right. The black word. I decide on being more black when I've come to it that gadgets make me less black, but they don't make me more human. They say the black ghost is weak, that it is feeble and cannot go the distance. I say that's their wishful thinking. No, I know the black ghost. I can sit back and watch the screen of black thoughts. Sharpeville's black ghost haunts all racists. I live with this ghost. I've come to love this ghost. I ask again, what is black? Black is point of self-realization. Black is point of new reason. Black is point of no national deception. Black is energetic release from the shackles of Kafir, Bantu, non-white, Mafiga, Pascal, Boala. The explosion will not happen today. It is too soon or too late. I do not come with timeless truths. Francis Fanon. Ancient Africans are alien gods from a despotic future. Godo Eshun. The time has come for the war of the gods. Billy Paul. Black people, they back there in the past. A past somebody manufactured for them. It is not their past. It is not their history. Sun Ra. History will one day have its say, but it will not be the history taught in Brussels, Paris, Washington, or the United Nations, but the history which will be taught in the countries freed from imperialism and its puppets. Africa will write her own history. And to the north and south of the Sahara, it will be a glorious and dignified history. Patrice Lumumba. This old man came with a homemade bomb. This old man came with a bass, came with a drum, came with a drum and the bum bum bum. This old man shot down Satan's spaceship. Why do you worship cannibals? Give me the magic in the ancient Ethiopian scrolls. Lee Scratch Perry. They came from the west, sailing to the east, with hatred and disease flowing from their flesh and a burden to harden our lives. Ingwapele Madingwane. They came eating their own mouths, orgiastic. Sonia Sanchez. Today, poems are like flags flying on liquor store fronts. Poems are like baboons waiting to be fed by tourists. Jane Cortez. Revolutionary poets have become entertainers. Mutabaruka. One man, one robe as democracy's gift. Sterling D. Plum. The robe is woven with thorned steel. Mafiga Pascal Koala. My poem goes tied in ropes. Antonio Jacinto. The revolution has been postponed. Sony Lagu Dansi. We were in too much of a hurry to embrace moral bankruptcy. Sil Cheney Coker. South African children braided in a colony of charred scarecrows. Sonia Sanchez. Powerlessness breeds a race of beggars. Stephen Bantu Biko. Black people are so forgiving. Auntie Kroch. Black data nihilismus. Against what light is false, what breath sucked for deadness. Murder that lends purpose frail against God. If they bring him bleeding, I would not forgive or even call him Black data nihilismus. Remember what you said? Money, God, power, a moral code so cruel it destroyed Byzantium, Tenochtitlan, Comanche, got it baby? For Tambo, Willie Best, Dubois, Patrice, Menton, the Bronze Buckaroos, for Jack Johnson, Asbestos, Tonto, Buckwheat, Billie Holiday, for Tom Rust, Louverture, Vesey, Bojack. May a lost God Dambala rest or save us against the murders we intend against his lost white children. Black data nihilismus. Amiri Baraka. He was a good nigger. The whites say he was a good nigger. A really good nigger. His good master's good old nigger. I cry hooray. He was a very good nigger. Poverty had hurt his chest and back, and they had stuffed into his poor brain that the fatality weighed on him that cannot be grabbed by the throat, that he was powerless over his own destiny, that the malicious Lord had for all eternity written prohibition laws into his pelvic nature, that he must be a good nigger, that he must sincerely believe in his baseness, with no perverse curiosity to ever check the faithful hieroglyphics. He was a very good nigger, and it did not occur to him that he could be hoeing and digging and cutting off something quite different really from the insipid cane. Amy Césaire. We have been lied to. Hitler is not dead. Amy Césaire and Biko agreed. My final prayer. Oh, my body, make of me always a man who questions. Francis Fanon. I want to write you a letter, but oh, my love, I cannot understand why it is, my dear, that you cannot read. And I, oh, the hopelessness, I cannot write. Antonio Jacinto. Read more, you ignorant, arrogant Negroes. The lymphatic tabs. Okay, is Muka on?
Getting there, 5 more minutes.
Mm-mm-mm. 5 more minutes, so I have to keep playing this game, pretending to be a poet. Anyway, let's do this. I believe in showing respect to the people who came before us. The problem I found with most South African writers, okay, they call them creatives these days. I don't know what it means. I'm a creative. I don't know. I've been creative in my time. I'm not a creative. But that's all okay. The problem I notice is that some people come out pretending they were not born, like they were hatched out of some egg or whatever. They are a miracle of nature. They just came out of nowhere and wrote. They are revolutionary. You understand? And this stuff has been done, dusted, buried, resurrected over and over again until they came out spitting that same. I do not believe in that. Anyway, sorry. Naipaul said we are part of the third world, meaning that part of the world that should be deposited in the toilet and flush. I'm beginning to believe that as we go along. We're told that these are the days of high technology. It's pointless flying Mutabaruka from Jamaica. We can just get him right here in our land. He's late, and through no fault of his own, it would seem. Oh, there's one of my greatest philosophers to ever walk the southern landscape. The Himfatic tabs. Ladies and gentlemen, Tabiso Mohamed. Okay. Let's do this.
Is it this one?
This guy is part of the generation that
Perfect.
that came out and changed the way people dealt with the word, what people could do with the word, They were called part of the South African hip hop underground. I don't really know what that means, but part of it, there's Rikane Mufokeng was part of Basemental Platform. Now, Basemental Platform at some point gave up. They said they had to give up because they were not getting groupies. That their groupies did not wear high heels. They wore Doc Martens, and they didn't like it, so they gave up. But then, two of them came together and formed something called the Pharaoh Express. Now, the Pharaoh Express came and brought me out of the old age home to come and do something on their album, And so they brought me in there with my Parkinson's, and they said that my arthritis would add to the beat. That's a fine hip hop beat, that and whatever. Anyway, so are you giving me backing music, man, or what? What's this? I'm talking about hip hop, and you throw a beat on there. Come on. Jazz, rock, rap, and the blues.
Yes.
For the Pharaoh Express. I come in, drowning howling wolves in muddy waters, clowning hip-hop lambs to lyrical slaughters. No mutton, hand on the red button press. Go ahead, let's go, climbing the beast's hindquarters. Profuse how I bleed this jazz, rock, rap, and the blues. I King Fawcett cause lynch mobs got smart bombs now. It got too slick at the news. Set the heartbeat loose. This, that, Perfeni station identification, state of mind, Orlando the worst, Bantu goes in the machine. That runaway slaves parap on the Pharaoh Express. I picked Bigos brains off the wall to write this. dread thesis against these power-mad feces. Touch stratospheres, taught castrospheres, cheers to Davashe, never got his share. Satan AK for McKay, capitals got to pay. I bring wet sack over the head music, interrogation lyrics like Louis got Eric Clapton on this bludgeon. Verbatins, cranial percussion, rattle brain cells like that blood boiling in that human kettle. Pour it over your snow white battles like Jimmy strumming electrified intestines. Add it up like Mongezi calling Mbizo. Never be another Johnny. If it ain't dumb, boozum deadly. Keep it for your honey, sonny. Cause I'll go off beat, off track, out of time and still come black on the one for the money. Reparation talking. I rap with age, brown cleaver to the mic call. Raise the road cause here rhymes the God. Bring you no more lullabies like Ponzi Grenade, Nyamazad. Before the revolutions, abortion was in session. I was coming off the thunder sound, rent and railroad gunning. Between Skull Mountain and Blood River running. I hit the Dead Street rocking, Sasol tray, Makarov cocking. Your plagues are golden, mine are body golden with a horn, pouring down Babylon. Gallo to the gallows, EMI has got to die. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what do we do now? I mean, I'm getting my brains fried out here. And, Peggy, what do we do, man? Okay, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Since this is not supposed to be a poetry show as such, we're supposed to be engaging. And the jump-off point for this is this thing that's facing all of us that we are victim to right now. It's called this COVID-19 thing. Now, the idea was for us to go transatlantic to work out what this dreadful thing has called up in the world. Because it might be a virus or whatever, or virus powered. However, the things that it has called up have actually exposed quite a lot that was beneath the surface. It's shown the politics of disease. It's shown how health is big business. How, for instance, some live or die based on the size of their pockets. It has shown that this disease actually afflicts people differently depending on the amount of melanin they've got. And also, you do have some people who are able to buy most of the melanin out of their systems because they've got money. Now, we've seen how, for instance, the army and the military in South Africa has humiliated people in public, has killed people, has thrown people out of their homes. And we have to find a reason why, one, in order to escape this ailment, they'll be forced to socially distance themselves from other people. How do you do that when you're squeezed into a tin can with 7 other people? And the ills that come out of that enforced togetherness, that's what I thought we were going to be dealing with. Now, in Jamaica, for instance, one of my ultimate favorite artists called Buju Banton came out a couple of days ago saying that fuck masks, why should people be forced to live in a particular way? If you're going to die, then die. Those who don't die won't die. We won't be wearing masks. Now, I was hoping that Muta perhaps would be able to help us understand the situation in Jamaica, see how different it is from the way in which we're trying to maneuver our way through life with the threat of this thing. If poetry was going to come out of that discussion, well and good. If not, I hear your poetry. We're looking at that for. So I want to throw this out to you because it's supposed to be a symposium, which means everybody carries a voice that's of the weight of everybody else. So if you feel that you've got something to say about that, please go ahead and say it. Nobody here has got the voice of God. I've got my opinions, which are sometimes not worth a fact, to be honest. But they happen to be mine. Everybody else has got their own. So let's deal with this issue. What aspects, negative positive or otherwise, of our lives have been thrown out by this virus. Peggy, we kill it, right? We kill it. Buddha will start frying whenever. Okay. Anybody got a thing to say? Please, let's kickstart. Nobody. I thought South Africans are the world's champion noisemakers. I thought so. Now everybody's all quiet and whatever. And, all right. Okay. I see a few people here who go as the creatives. I'm still trying to work out what that means. But I see people who go as poets, you know. Some of them, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody, some of them were failed MCs, hip-hop MCs. The guy tried, it didn't work. So he went out saying, I'm a spoken word poet or whatever. Which is something I've never understood, you know. I don't know what spoken word means. I mean, I speak. And what I speak happen to be words. Of course, some people just talk shit. Fine, that's them, you know. But I speak words. So if you're going to say I'm a spoken word, whatever, come on. Everybody is as soon as they go beyond mama, papa, and whatever. Now, I see some people who go as spoken word, whatever, as poets, some of them. Some are decent rather, others, you know, the less said about them, the better actually. But I'm directing this at those people, right, who try to approach the world through words. How do we deal with today's reality? Given the situation I tried to map out earlier, how do we do that, you know? Okay, I understand that there were apartheid poets, just like in Britain there were Thatcher poets, who as soon as Margaret Thatcher stepped out of office, they couldn't write anymore, because they could only write against Margaret Thatcher. Some people could only write because apartheid, you know, pants, fine. Now, how do we go through life given the situation? Those of us who deal with words. And of course, those who love words without necessarily trying to create with them, which means everybody. Better? Ask.
I'm asking, in the times, in the poets, these particular times.
Okay. Mufuke has just asked, I think, a very profound question. Do these times need poetry or poems, rather? You see, it was said, for instance, that after the Holocaust, after the Shoah, the German Holocaust of the Jewish people and other people, by the way, it wasn't just the Jewish people, truth be told, that no more poetry could be written, because that moment in history was an all-leveling one, that it shut everything down, so there was no space for poetry. That's what was said. To these times, demand poetry. Let's just walk in by Islamic.
No, they do, because poetry is to document the times. So, if we are the first pandemic we've ever been through, so the times need to be documented.
Oh.
Yeah. Because poetry is to document, actually not just poetry, just writing, is to document the time. So there is a need for, maybe not poetry, but for documentation. And then poetry is another way of documenting. So there's a need for documentation, therefore there's a need for poetry.
Okay. I need to throw this out to everybody here. Is it true that writing documents the time. Is it true?
No.
No, he's just said that. So respond to it. He says the function. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just
The function, yes.
yeah tossing in my 2 cents, giving my understanding of what you said, right? That the function of poetry, of writing, literature in general, is to document the time. Is that true? Personally, I mean, okay, I'm a writer of social conscience. That's how I identify myself. However, I've got nothing against somebody writing about their dog Snoopy. Depending on how true they are to the subject they're dealing with. How much of their existence, how much of that moment of creation is actually a distillation of their universe around Snoopy the dog.
But when you document Snoopy in 1920, when you document Snoopy in 2020, are those still Snoopy? Does Snoopy still have the same story?
That's the question. That's the question tossed out to people. Is Snoopy treating a dog in 1920 and Snoopy treating a dog in 2020 the same story? You know, I might play devil's advocate. Fine. But I want us to engage. That's why I'm sitting here.
Because Snoopy in 1920 was dealing with the Great Depression. Snoopy did what he's dealing with the pandemic. So now Snoopy is born in 1920. Snoopy couldn't afford the bone because of the Great Depression. In 2020, Snoopy can't eat the bone because he might have a virus.
Okay, what does everyone else think? You know, this is my thing. I'm just here to facilitate. If somebody has got another issue that they think needs engaging with around the thing we've got, please feel free to raise it. Like I said, everyone here carries an equally weighted voice. Okay.
I think I think black people are burdened in a lot of ways because we just have this burden, we have this duty, and I don't know if it's fair or not fair, but we have to. It's not fair, but it's there. But it's a burden and it's there that stories, our stories, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to generations that come to write about them, to document them, as he's saying. If we look at Mutabaruka and what was done to him and his voice, the fact that there's no record at all of him ever having spoken or done anything like that, proves the power of even spoken word and written word. The fact that the apartheid government went as far as eliminating that. So we must not underestimate the power of our voices.
Okay.
It's a burden, yes. As black people who are burdened, it sucks. I can't even explain how much it sucks. But I think each and every one of us has to, in our own little corner, in our own little space, do something. So yes, spoken word is important now. Because the virus has dug up the fact that inequality is so crazy in this country. The corruption is so crazy in this country. Gender-based violence, I don't know where it's rooted from a trauma of some sort as a collective people, and as a resentment of sorts. There's lots to be spoken about, there's lots to be written about. I think this period, so much has been happening, so much drama. We call it drama, but really what is happening is digging or unearthing a lot of stuff that is being highlighted that we actually need to deal with.
All right.
So I think that's important.
Okay. Tavis.
A terrible mistake is this assumption that maybe you'll be friends all when y'all have a glass of wine or whatever, and get some sort of responsibility to try and say black people, and maybe you might live in the old corners like here or whatever. Hey! There is no such a thing as the togetherness as black people. Like, the struggle.
It's a burden, it's not a responsibility.
There is no burden. My biggest burden right now is, yeah, damn it, where's my toothpaste? You know what I mean? That's my burden. Like, my biggest burden is, why am I socks sweating right now? I need to go to town for the beach here. My biggest burdens are my personal life. And my personal life, no matter how it impacted many other whatever people, that is what is happening. It is never my intention or whatever other people might think. Let's say maybe Nelson Mandela or Robert T. Cooper to go to jail for 27 years with you guys. I never decided to go to jail. When I go to jail, it's not a good thing for me. I ain't trying to save anybody's life. What the fuck? You're taking me to jail? Nah, you know, like, I was nice over here, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, there's nobody fighting for you or whatever. A lot of people might walk around and say, oh, Nelson Mandela was a sellout. Sold out what? What were you guys like? You sold out what? You sold out ANC? Get out of here. There was no selling out. Like, they go in jail. What the fuck? It's not nice here. I want to get out. I'm not trying to save your life.
So do you think spoken word then? Like,
spoken word, as Papa Ramsden said, is you just speak word and spoken word, and you know what I mean? And you say something with swag and it sounds cool and that. Then you say something, oh my God, the way you said that. You know what I'm saying? That's about it.
I think for now, up until he gets on.
You know, I love the fact that everybody, well, this would be my wish, that everybody take up the mic and say whatever is on their mind, you know. As long as we deal with it with sensitivity, we're not pulling anyone down, we're not insulting anybody. You don't say to somebody, you're stupid, you know, you're a waste of oxygen. No. If we do it constructively, if we engage, because the idea is for all of us to grow. You know, here's another thing. We're talking about the virus, right? But like I said, there are all sorts of manifestations of it. For example, right now, people are getting killed in Nigeria, right? There's that SARS thing happening. And I go on social media and I get hurt. It doesn't really matter where I stand on the issue of this creature called the Nigerian. You know, when people say, I don't care what's happening there, let them kill all night. Let Nigerians kill themselves. Yeah, they flood our homes, our streets with drugs and blah, 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 blah. And I look at it and say, hold on a minute. What exactly are we saying? You understand what I'm saying? There's something virusy around that also. You understand? So what I'm saying is, let's just deal with issues as broadly as possible. You know, everybody has got their own opinion. You might come out and say, sure, drop the atom bomb on Nigeria. Hey, that's your opinion. We'll engage with it if needs be. You know? So anybody, please. Anyone, anything? Okay, Sissy?
Come closer.
It means star in Tonga. My first name is Sike. I haven't been here long enough to hear what's been going on and everything. I just like the energy. But I feel like I've been prepared to say, can we focus more on what's happening in the spirit than what's happening in the physical? There's a lot happening, and before something manifests into the flesh, it starts in the spirit. So I think it's important for every single person here to ensure that your spirit is intact, that your vibrations are high, that you're eating the right food, and you're making the right decisions, and you're not walking around, fucking around with the wrong people. This is not the time to mess with ourselves. 2020 is a year of definition. This is the year where if you don't know who you are, you will never never, ever, ever, ever know who you are. So I think it's important for every single person in here to ensure that your prayer life is on point, or your meditation life, or whatever it is that you do. Please make sure, because there's a lot of things that are happening and they are against us. And as for black people, yes, I hear that what times you're saying, a responsibility, whatever, but right? So we're not here for ourselves. I have a gift, and my gift is to share with everybody else, and so is everybody else's. But my point out of all of this is that please ensure that your spirit life is on point. Thank you.
Yeah, what? Yeah, check it out. First of all, I think a lot of what my sister was saying in terms of this is actually spiritual warfare out here, okay? Let us not get confused and too much occupied around these politicians and whatnot, because you know they not give a fuck about us. So we need to fix ourselves inside first. So whatever I say, whatever I do, it might sound violent and attacking the system or whatever, but all of my words, all of my music, whatever Papa Rex or whatever we say, whatever we do, it's all about healing. Whatever we do, we've gone through a lot of shit, you know what I mean? We cannot take anymore. We're not fighting for anybody. We're fighting for ourselves. Only if I am strong and you are strong and all of us are strong, then that bundle of sticks is too hard to break. We cannot be alone, but we need to be strong by ourselves first. And then we can come together and nobody can break anything. I don't think there's another group of us or whatever. There's no such a thing. It begins with you. And go inside, don't go out. Don't look outside of yourself and say, I'm a black man, you know what, and there's no such a thing. I am this, and this is what I am doing. We do our channel with it. Or more to medicate us how. It's a kind of other color of your skin. Fuck all of that bullshit.
Just Mike.
Lonke. Igama lami kulungelo nomqambo. Siyabonga ukuthi sithole i-chance engage in this manner during these times. And I would like to respond to the spoken word pandemic. You know, from my observation as an archivist, one of the main challenges with the spoken word and the poets is that poets do not longer listen to their own poetry. Poets do not learn from their own poetry. They speak deep, rich, and literally. One of the main challenges with poetry, we're speaking about the other art forms, but with poetry, poets are just too deep. But they're not students of their own poetry. So if maybe, for example, you are sitting to write, and you receive divine intervention in your writing, you are not a student of the divine intervention, and you're expecting us to be students. That's where it all falls off. But as far as the pandemic is concerned, we've been living with pandemics throughout our lives. Greed is the main pandemic. We've been living with that pandemic throughout our lives. You know, the COVID pandemic is just an addition to a collage of pandemics we've been living with. Yeah. But in response to spoken word, when poets start listening to their own poetry, when they become students of their, as a photographer, you take a picture and you learn from the picture. You put it up and it teaches you that, the next picture can be this. Or no, this is not working with the others. You know? So when our work stops becoming our teacher, we lose the plot. And we expect our audience to become the main students of our work. And deciding too, but we're going to
Anyway, to continue, I don't know if this nuclear thing is going to happen. And also, gone or whatever. So, huh?
See.
So we just tell him, yeah. Okay. Let's take it back a little bit. You know, I don't know if everybody here knows somebody called H. Rep Brown. Now, H. Rep Brown. Oh, okay. Ah, okay. Where's Muta? Okay, we can just rock right back in there. Good evening, sir. It's morning in Jamaica, by the way. You know. All right. In the 70s, when we had what was called the Soweto Moment, it was misnamed. It wasn't the Soweto Moment, by the way. It was a national one. But, of course, we need something to log on to. It started in Soweto 5. That's the Soweto Moment, right? And we had the Tashiki poets, we had Lififi Kadi and company, you know, doing the poetry to drums and whatever. We had the Malo poets, we had the Ala poets, Ingwapele Madingwani, Maisha Mapunya, Matsimela Manaka, running around. And then, from the US, we had the voices of the last poets. We had Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will not be televised. The last poet was saying niggas are scared of revolution. Now, from across the pond on the island of Jamaica, we had the outcry. We had somebody who was taking nursery rhymes and flipping them around. You know, first time Jack and Jill went up the hill every day. Now them get pipe, water rate increase. It was flipping these nursery rhymes, making them revolutionary, making them have social resonance. Taking Malcolm X. Malcolm X's best known slogan, for example, by the bullet, by the ballot, by the bullet, by the ballot, by what? By the Bible of the gun. Any which way freedom must come, right? Sure. That's how it went. It was Mutabaruka. And it was coming through to us in the company of people like Opu Onora, Jean Binta Breeze, Michael Smith, who subsequently got stoned to death. And across the way in Britain, we had Linton Kwesi Johnson. And those people collectively concretized for us our reality. And for me, it is very interesting that out of all music forms, it was really reggae that carried the most for the people of this country. That spoke to our reality. That was the most revolutionary. I'm not raising it above any other musical form, but I'm just saying it spoke to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mutabaruka. All right, Muta. Because we've been having this problem of connecting with you, we started our chat here. There's a full house of people here waiting to hear from you, waiting to share with you your reality around this virus that's taken over the world and how this virus has tossed up a whole lot that perhaps we were forgetting, that perhaps had been swept under. Racism, for example, how economics impacts the people of the world depending on how much people have, how much people don't have, how some people live or die depending on the economics that get thrown up by this virus. So, in this country, people have been killed by the police and the military in the name of this virus. People have been turned out of their houses. Shacks have been demolished during the spike of this virus. Now we'd like to know how the situation has been in Jamaica, and of course your global view of where we are today and what we should be doing, maybe. Is that it? I can't hear your sound. Yes. Hey, he's talking. It's okay. Okay.
Yes, a little bit. Not loud enough.
I am hearing you. Can you hear me? Obviously, you can't hear me now. I hear him on the copy.
Can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so if you're hearing me, say yes. Okay. I want to say good afternoon. Yeah, well, it's after 12 there in Jamaica, so I'm assuming that it's after 8 there in South Africa in the night. You know, I've been sitting here from 10 o'clock, up before 10. But I guess that's the way it goes. I want to give thanks to invite us on this Zoom thing. You know, I'm not very getting to like the Zoom thing because of what just transpired a while ago. The Zoom thing is kind of strange, but I would have preferred if you send for me on an airline and come down there, but I guess that's the way it goes. But what do you know about the people who organize this? And I guess we're supposed to be talking about metaphorically the virus that has spread all over the world right now. In Jamaica, we have about 8,000 people who have been affected and about 100 deaths so far, and it's rising. We don't know where it's going to go, but you know, we try to keep ourselves as safe as possible, even though we don't know where that thing is. I don't know if it's coming through this phone now from South Africa, I don't know, but I'm not very particularly interested. So we're talking about a virus that has afflicted us, especially African people. And it's not a virus that people can look at through a microscope. It's a virus that you can touch, but it's a virus that you can feel. And we have been feeling that virus, especially in this part of the world, for over 400 years. We call it brainwashing. We call it slave mentality, political mentality, we call it religious mentality, where this virus is one in which most African people is so complacent that they don't even know that they are afflicted with it. It's like a asymptomatic thing, like what they talk about here now, that you can have the virus and don't know that you have it. And then you can give people it and don't know that is you give them it. Well, I find that this virus that I am speaking of now is a similar virus where you have it, but some people don't even know that they have it. Some people don't know that white supremacy is like a virus that seeps into your psychology and your DNA. And for hundreds of years, you still maintain that level of thinking and spread it. And the people who spread it the most in this time is the politicians and the preachers, the religious practitioners and the politicians. They are the ones who is asymptomatic. They are the ones who spread it to the people and give the people it. And when the people react, they say that they don't have no virus. They are just working off of their understanding of what is supposed to be and what is not supposed to be. And we recognize that the vaccination that is needed and necessary to get rid of that virus is to totally wipe your head clean of the so-called indoctrination that has been given to us over the years. And I say indoctrination carefully instead of education. Because sometimes you feel because we went to a high school or we went to a university and some of the politicians go to Oxford, some of them go all over Europe, in France and these places, and they come back to Africa and they use the Europeanized education and Europeanized system of governance to govern the people, when we must recognize that Africa is totally different from Europe. And the belief system, the systems that was there for us for thousands of years, cannot be wiped away with an educated Negro who go to Europe and get these European education and come back to Africa and impose it on the people. That is what is causing the problem, the indoctrination of our leaders and how they use that indoctrination to indoctrinate the masses of the people. We as a people now must and will have to recognize how important it is to educate ourselves in the African perspective of civilization, the historical reference points that was there long before Europeans and the Arabs came into Africa and dissolve all of our institutions and now cause us to believe that there was nothing happening in Africa until the white man and the Arabs come to Africa, when we know that Africa existed thousands of years with institutions, with family structures, with political ideologies and all the different levels of discipline that you can find. We had it in Africa. As a matter of fact, we had it in Africa first. Long before there was any Greece and Rome, there was Kemet, there was Nubia, there was Zimbabwe. All of these places existed with people who was introducing all of their knowledge to Europeans when they come there and get ravished because they thought that human beings were human beings. They didn't know that there was a group of human beings far across the water that did not see the earth and the world and people like they did. So here we are in the 21st century, trying to find and searching for liberation again. So much liberation, so much movements have come, so much heroes, so much heroes. We as African people, we have enough heroes and heroes to facilitate a liberation and a freedom. But every time a liberator dies, it seems as if his liberation force and spirit die with him, and we have to start all over again. And sometimes when we move forward, one step forward, we take 10 steps backward, and we have to come again. Because the perpetuation of white supremacy is deep, deeper than this coronavirus that they talk about. Yeah. Because just like the Spanish flu, just like the SARS, the Spanish flu was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, 1918, there was a Spanish flu that almost wiped out 100 million people. They bounced back. They came back. And this is what we have now, a different kind of world. Now we have this virus, and this virus will also, and we're talking about the coronavirus, it will go. And now we ask the question now, what are African people going to do to facilitate the coming of an era that is designed not to keep Africans up, but will suppress them even worse and deeper? We look at Africa right now, we look at America, we look at the French, we look at the Chinese, all of them is traveling towards Africa. And there's a deliberate attempt to keep Africa poor, because they know that the wealth of the world and the movement of the world is dependent on the things that are in Africa, including the people. And that is where it is really problematic, that we have to find leaders now that is not afflicted with this virus. We have to find leaders who was wearing masks over their head, so that indoctrination could not pierce their mind as how it wanted to pierce. We have to find leaders who is sensible enough to understand that the people need a new system and a new governance, a new perspective, a new way of life. And the only way we can do that is to go back, as I'm saying, Ghana, Sankofa, return into the basic things in history, understanding history where you're coming from. A lot of us forget that all these struggles took place already. It took place already. It took place with Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta. It took place with Marcus Garvey, the highlight of all of these struggles. And if it takes place with them, why can't we be the Kwame Nkrumah and the Marcus Garvey at this time and see necessity to get rid of this virus?
All right, let's move to pauses. Here's my one. As far as the numbers grow,
Yeah, that's my question.
less black people have died or been afflicted by this virus than anyone else. However, the engineers and the people with power have come with the idea that a vaccine should be tested on black people first before anybody else. How does anyone understand that? Please, someone, let's talk to the issue. All of us, like we said, all of us have a voice. Somebody, bring some wisdom, please. Hmm? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, anybody's got any response to what Muta has said? Anybody have anything to add, subject? You got a question?
Yeah,
Okay.
subtract.
Yeah, like I want to say something. Like, for me,
Please
I'm
speak
actually-
louder.
Yes, actually, on my way here, I was in a taxi ride. So I was talking to the taxi driver. And the question that stood out for me was, there have been so many viruses that we have been dealing with for so many years. And why is this now suddenly so, I don't want to say special, I don't want to use the word special, because this is a pandemic that we're dealing with. But I just want to understand, like, if we have been dealing with HIV and Ebola for so long, and so many other sicknesses and viruses, what makes this one different from all the viruses that we've had before? And
Yeah, that's my thing.
yeah, and also looking at how it has been done. For me, when everything happened, actually, especially the lockdown, it took me back to the apartheid time, because all the rules that have been applied there, they were exact same rules that were applied now. So what I'm standing is, how is it different from then to now? How would they try to make it better for black people now? You know, because now they're saying it's no, I don't want to say this.
because now it's a virus. How could it have been made easier for black people? Could it be, they find a way, because they're saying that it's a pandemic, we all going through it. But it mostly affected black people because we're the ones who were hungry, who locked down, who didn't have anything to sustain us because we don't have money to work on day-to-day things. So I'm just trying to figure out the politics behind the virus, to say what really makes this virus different from all the viruses that we have had before.
You've got something to say there.
So, for me, the other sort of like revealing factor is when I'm not sure exactly when I go, well, individuals who are on social media might probably call that the BBC, there was an article that was spread around social media wherein the BBC published an article where scientists, obviously European scientists, could not fathom, like they could not understand why is it that, so the individuals that well, the black people that were mostly affected by the virus are actually individuals that are in Eurocentric countries, so North America, Europe, or whatever. But so the BBC tried to understand why is it that poor Africans are not as largely affected by the virus as Europe was. If you look at Spain, Italy, and all of them, obviously I don't give a fuck about those. I actually enjoy the fact that they also got a hit. Anyway, so then the thing is, for me, that was revealing. Actually, I don't like to call myself as, or to refer to myself as a conspiracy theorist, but also conspiracy theory is very fun and shit like that. So for me, I think that particular article was very revealing in terms of the intentions. So like when you find an individual like Donald Trump who constantly makes it a point to call it the Chinese virus, is it really? That's what I'm sitting with. Is it really?
Papa Rams, now come as a stereotype black African man. During the time of HIV and AIDS, we had Nkosi Johnson to show us as blacks that AIDS kills. And TB, we had someone who was black to show us that TB kills. Ebola, we had a black person to show us that this kills. But during this pandemic, or the virus we are in, we never had someone black or white, to say this kills. That's my question, why not?
Let's bring it back to
Am I required to answer?
Come on!
Okay. Okay, all right. So, all right, there's a lot of theories going on. But if you notice, Africa, most of these diseases used to affect Africa more than most places, like Ebola and those things. You usually find it in Africa. So it wasn't seen as pandemic. Epidemic is again certain area. Pandemic is when it involves the whole world. So the epidemics that in Africa was confined to African people most of the time. Now, the SARS, the Spanish flu, and now the COVID, if you notice where it affects people who is open to either Europe or America or China. That is where most the affliction comes. Because one would expect if this was something other than what it is now, Nigeria would have the biggest cases, because Nigeria is about 200 million people, and we hardly have a big like America, outpour of death and virus. But the countries, if you know how them take it, South Africa, which is very open to outsiders, you have what the biggest affliction of this COVID is in South Africa and in Northern Africa, some places in Northern Africa. All right, when you look at Europe and America, the biggest place right now that you have it is America. America have 220,000 people dead and like over 8 million who have it. So the Caribbean have much less than that. So we can look and say that there's something that is saying, you open your place, like outreach to America, is the Europeans the Chinese going to Europe and the Europeans going to America. When they realize that it is the American that was coming to America that was spreading it. They closed them borders. So they closed them borders, but it was too late because there was so much Europeans going in. And the Chinese coming in and they closed the borders from the Chinese, but it was too late, everybody come. If you notice the countries then that closed them borders originally from the European and American and Chinese people, they had less. They had less. Jamaica was like low. When I say low, like 10 people have it one day, 11 people have it the next day, I think. But what happened now? We opened the borders, and people was coming from England and America, brought it here, some Jamaicans who was in England, bring it to Jamaica, and then they started moving the community, and it started to spread differently. So we call that community spreading, where the community now start to pick it up, and then now they have to trace back. Where was the first person amongst other people? No, so I am saying now that we can see where Europe, America, and China, this is where the spreading of this thing start to spread in the Caribbean and in Africa. The Europeans, the Americans, and the Chinese that spread into Africa. So it's totally different from other diseases where Africa have it and started spreading outside. I remember them say about the Ebola and all these things, and people started to get it in France because some French person go there and go back with it. And America, you have to go to Africa to get Ebola. You can't stay in America and get Ebola. But you don't have to go to Africa, you don't have to stay or go to Africa to get this disease. Somebody can come to Africa and give you it. The problem with it is that a whole heap of black people especially is listening to news that is coming out of America. And what is the news that's coming out of America? It's a lot of conspiracies. You know, they have stories like, yes, it's the Bible, people start to turn to the Bible and say, yes, it's the mark of the beast. People start to turn to the Bible now and say, yes, this is the last day. All of these things were said. In every disease that hit the earth, people start to turn to prophecies according to them. And people start to accuse each other. In other words, if you don't believe what they say about it, they start to ignite a lot of theories around it. And these theories start to spread more, especially like how we have the net now, the internet. The truth subside and the theories come to the top. So you have the theories them is more popular. And people love to hear these morbid and problems. They love to soak into problems. So when a man tell you say, well, see, they're going to make a vaccination to put, what you call it, put chip in like microchip. They want to give vaccination to kill other people. The problem with these arguments kind of get weird if you look into the American way. America, if you notice it, because you have a whole heap of people, especially right now in Jamaica, I call them Trumpians. Trumpians is following what Trump said. And then they have other little groups, splinter groups, that is doing what Trump said. For instance, the mask wearing. People would wear the mask, but if the leader of the so-called free world is not wearing masks, and his followers is not wearing masks, how will people might say, wait, why now wear masks? And they start to spread propaganda about masks. So how will people, anytime you hear people say they're not wearing the mask, they bring up two things about masks. One is that the mask is not healthy because you're breathing carbon dioxide, and human beings not supposed to breathe carbon dioxide. Two, them say, is a way to control the people. All right, I put it to you that the mask, I think I hear somebody in the audience say, every disease that in the world, a pandemic, the same way they asked what they asked to do 100 years ago during the Spanish flu, the same thing they said, wear a mask, stay far from people, and don't go in a crowd. Because that's the way it spread. It spread through your mouth, coughing, it spread through there. That's simple deduction. It doesn't need rocket scientists to come up with that. If you sneeze, it spread. If you cough, it spread. If you talk too loud to people and in a crowd, you're going to spread it. So they say, wear a mask. People come and say, they're not wearing a mask because people have some weird argument about carbon monoxide. Look here, the cell phone that you have in your head, that you use, have more radiation than the carbon dioxide that you might take in by wearing the mask. Because the mask, nobody's telling you to wear the mask 24/7. You wear the mask when you're in crowd or when you're going into a park place like that place that you're in now. And if you feel a way about you're breathing, you take off the mask and take a breath and put it on back. This is scientifically proven that the mask, even though it will not stop the virus 100%, but it helps to prevent people from spreading it and also it helps people from getting it. This is scientific. Trump said now wearing a mask. No, if it was a conspiracy theory, right, if it was a conspiracy theory, right, why is it that Trump and the people are getting it? Why is it that the people who everybody has said, yeah man, that Trump and his friends, them and food share them people there, they want to come tell you, they know them get it. How is it that if you look at the American map, the people them who defend the president in those states, the rise of COVID is more in the states where people don't wear the mask than where people wear the mask. It's a common sense. If you look at all in the White House, the people them who have the mask, which is the other brother, when name Biden. Biden people them wear masks. Trump people them don't wear the mask. When you look at the people them who catch it, it's the people them who don't wear the mask. So there's some correlation between wearing the mask and not wearing the mask. What it is that the people them who wear the mask more than likely is not catching it like the people them who don't wear the mask. When you look at the total map of America, the people them who don't wear the mask is mostly in the state with Trump control. The people them who wear the mask is the people them who in the state with the so-called Democrats control. How is it that it's mostly people in the state then who don't wear the mask at it? That show me say I must wear a mask. That show me that. In Jamaica the same thing. In Jamaica, when you stay and wear the mask, people criticize you. Yes, you wear masks, don't kill you. If you show me wear masks kill people, and you show me where COVID kill people, I will tell you something different. But I am telling you this now, because it's a serious thing. And this may be serious, even though you might hear, this is a Rasta man I tell you this. I made a whole heap of Rasta man will not share that view. And I'm telling you this, that this is the mask will help. I don't say you can't catch COVID, you know, because you can't easily go touch something with somebody that happened. But the mask help to alleviate a lot of the problems and a lot of the death that is happening. And because people feel they must wear a mask, and the government tell them to wear the mask, they feel it's a conspiracy. No, the government tell you must wear a seat belt. The government tell you must wear a helmet when you ride in a bike. When you go in the hospital and you have been surgery, the people them have on masks. Why them have on masks when you have the surgery? Why people, you are mandatory to wear a seat belt. I don't know about in South Africa. We'll be there, it's mandatory for wear a seat belt. What is it that the government is putting on you? To say you must wear a seat belt. Yet still everybody comply with seat belt. Everybody comply with riding a bike with headgear. What is it that the government is saying to you that is controlling your life when you tell you must do that? It's not the regulation that is said for this wearing a mask and separation. A whole heap of people don't know that 100 years ago, it was the same thing that tell the people then. Nobody was looking at it as conspiracy. It was the same thing that was telling the people then. Now, if you come today and you feel said the government is trying to control you, the government is not, I'm not taking up for government, but the government is not trying to control you. The government is trying to control the virus. And so we have to look at it. We have to look at it and say, there's something out there. None of us have ever seen it, but it is out there, it's killing people and it's making people sick. I am saying that if you don't know what is out there, and these are the people who make it happen out there, and them I catch it too. Why would I unleash a poison on the earth where I know say it's going to kill me too? No, no way. This is something that is happening. It get where, I don't know where it get from, whether in war or whichever, it get where, and now we have to figure out how we're going to rectify. They're going to rectify, but are people listening to people who know more than them, not the conspiracy theorists them. Because the conspiracy theorists make you worry more and fret more. People talk about Amagibian and all these things. And you know, some Rasta run up and come about the place that talk about, yeah, this and that, prophecy are fulfilled. It's foolishness. It's foolishness. This is something that happened already. It happened before, and it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. But meanwhile, we are living now. There's certain things that we should do in order to help ourselves. And if the guy says, wear the mask, you have to question it. Why must I wear a mask? And you're going to say, why must you wear a mask? Because your mouth and your nose is a place where somebody might catch it if you sneeze on them and if you cough on them. That is why you must wear it. It's just simple, it's a logic. It's not when you poison you wear your mask. People think that is the problem with the people. I say, yes, they want to kill you by rain, man, because it's sucking your own carbon dioxide. Look at man, if you look at some of those cars that is driving on the road, as a matter of fact, this 4G phone that is here now, the 4G phone is giving more radiation, it's causing more breast cancer. A man have a cell phone and he put it in his pocket near his bars then and everything. The radiation, a woman have a cell phone and she put it in her brassiere or so. The radiation, nobody sees it, but wait, why not use this phone? But everybody uses phone normally, everybody. People can't do it without their cell phone. And I am saying, if you can't do it without your cell phone, you can't little minute, people sleep with their cell phone. A man just look on his cell phone 5 minutes and put it down. And then after 3 minutes, he took up himself. I can't imagine how much people inside it don't have them cell phone, so that's searching cell phone. Why are you searching your cell phone? What is going to happen in 2 minutes that you have to know before you go outside? I am saying that these are the things that we must expect. And these are the things that we must understand. We must understand that if it wasn't eating properly originally like a Rastaman has actually eat good food and eat properly, and people laugh after Rasta. There are some people who are deliberately push Rasta because you eat pure vegetable. If you eat pure vegetable and you have flush system and you keep the system organized and structured, the chances of you not get.
Thus you must unmask your face. This case is yet to discover the base in which your race is intertwined, endorsed and paused, that it says life, you can't escape your calling. It is morning from the dream. The cries, the voices, defies, the neglected and rejected purpose have the binocular vision to see the drawback, for you can't parade the ship that has no captain to avoid the iceberg, or else the Titanic should not cause panic. Unmask your face and place your
back, your bums are stacked, for loins are packed with seeds intact. Aborted ideas increase poverty, eliminate postponing, for season has come. This land, it is fertile, yet await your seed until it hits the ground and dies. Your fate is sealed in your palms that lies the core idea to eliminate the hunger. See the tear you draw can grow the crop to stop the need that feeds the greed, unmask your face and redefine the pace of this race.
I'm here. Yes, we just elaborate a while ago. I don't know what took place here. But, yeah, we don't talk about the mask, you know, the necessity to understand it. The COVID is not a new thing. It happened hundreds of years ago, and it will happen again. So, you know, we just know about it. Continue life. But when you continue life, you must know that there's certain things that you can do to help to alleviate the suffering and the pain that your loved ones will go through at this time. You know, but I am talking about a greater virus. That this virus is like maybe 7 months old. I'm talking about a virus that lives in our brains. The thousands, well, I say thousands of years, we have certain virus that live in our head. But for 400 years, virus in our head. In South Africa, we had a apartheid system, and the apartheid system almost still exists politically, economically, and otherwise. We say there are certain systems that right now affect African people. So meanwhile we are talking about this virus, where we know how to confront this virus. It's just that some of us don't want to confront it as we're supposed to. We want to find out how we're going to confront the 400 years virus, the apartheid virus that's still living the politicians' head, and the corruption that the politicians bring on the people then. And then all this argument of Christian belief system that to free African people. We don't tell you about a man who lived 2,000 years ago when come back and save black people. Black man, God cannot save you from white man oppression. Sorry. White man, God cannot save you from white man oppression. It's just simple. I repeat it again, but you don't make a mistake of what you say. The white man, God, cannot save you from the white man oppression. Because the white man pray to God, and you look at him and you see him prosper. Why do you think that if you pray to the white man, God, you go and prosper too? It's just simple that we have to return to our cultural expression, our divinities, and find solutions in that. And that is a bigger virus than the coronavirus to me. Bigger virus. You know, we can dodge the coronavirus. We know exactly what to do. But what exactly are we doing to alleviate that virus in our mentality for how much years now? And still is that black people, African people, take on that virus more than the Europeans and perpetuate the philosophy and the opinions of these European conquerors more than the Europeans themselves. But even when the Europeans is not present, we African people carry out the means of perpetuating their philosophy and their opinions. Where is the education system? Why are we still taught more about Europe than about our ancient ancestors? Why are we all talking English and don't know next language just out of the head? I mean, maybe in Africa, in South Africa, we know have the different languages, but people don't think in their language because they see their language as a cultural expression that is exotic. No. Yes. Hello?
Yes, we're here. Thank you very much, Mutia. Now, so we've had quite a lot to be brought down And then we came in here, by way of knowing, hopefully. We've dealt with the economics of health, how big business all these, how some people die because they cannot afford to live. Right. And we're talking about the politics of it, India is going Asia, etc. and all. Now, if there's any other issue that you believe should have been dealt with, please bring it forward. If not, I would suggest that we gather here in the name of poetry. Okay? This guy is a poet, and I have heard a few people asking that Buddha just bless us with one, or even 30 poems if possible. So please, so that we can close this on a project. So before we go on our prosaic ways,
What you
please.
say? I don't hear what you say. What you say?
People are asking for poetry.
No, it's not people ask me. It's you, such as you. No problem. All right, so one quote we're going to read here now. Maybe we can read some more still, but the reason why I read this poem is because it totally relates to emotions for me, and it happened to somebody in South Africa. Because you know, South Africa, I've been to South Africa more than any other country on the continent of Africa. Believe you me. So, my best friend, my brethren, live in South Africa. And most of the times, I want to hear of Rashni Moonsamy. Rashni Moonsamy has been able to bring me to South Africa continuously. And I really appreciate that from the first time I got to South Africa until now. She allowed me to meet Winnie Mandela, the greatest black woman who ever lived, undoubtedly. So, a brethren that we want to pay homage to and tribute to is a brethren named Lucky Dube. Lucky Dube, we get to know him over the years. And when we heard that he was murdered, it really was something heart-wrenching to hear that. You know, that man hijacked him and killed him in a car. So we want, and the reason why it strike a card so much also is that he used reggae music to project his revolution. He used reggae music, and you know reggae music is Jamaica style, and if you have South African use the music so potently and so vibrant, we really have to give honor to him. So we wrote this poem for Lucky Dube. I'm going to read the poem that we wrote for Lucky Dube. Prisoner or slave, nobody can stop reggae. Reggae is strong. Spirit of hope, cause greed and hate. Faith alone can decide who shall live or who will die. Caught in ties of hate, singing songs of joy, reggae songs, songs of freedom, songs of resistance. Am I a slave, prisoner or slave? The world heard, the cry is heard from Jamaica to Johannesburg. I remember, I'm a prisoner. We're all prisoners of the system, of politicians and preachers, of little boys in the streets with guns. So who can say they are free? Who can say they are lucky to go beyond what is their fate? Who can go beyond and sing, shout aloud in songs and poems about freedom of a people, wanting, hoping to be free? Lucky are we to have had lucky. The bullets echo, but the balance echo more, searching further than any bullet can, piercing the heart of many who speak of freedom. We are lucky. Nobody can stop reggae. Reggae is strong. Spirit of hope. So we are lucky. Bullets cannot will not stop reggae. Lucky are we to fall, then rise, lifting up the world, shouting, chanting, singing songs of freedom for those yet to be born in this world of bullets and little boys on streets filled with hate and grief, streets of gold and lead, blood red. These blood, like morning mist, it stops us from seeing what lies ahead. But our music, irate music, reggae music, brings a wind that blows away this misty morning, moving the shackles from these prisoners, these slaves, waiting on the night, waiting on the right time, when these little boys with bullets of hate will listen to the sound of hope and become lucky, and no more will they be prisoners of slaves. So the chant is out, lucky are we, nobody can stop reggae, reggae strong.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Mutabaruka for joining us from across the waters. We've been blessed. And the person who made all of this possible, Bobby Rodwell, and the guy who owns this, like to say,
Eh?
Any closing words? We're about to finish off. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, I don't know word that closing. Not a closing word. I might just read one poem and that is the closing word. Can I do that? Okay, we're going to read one poem where we're sorry that the time was cut short because of the only things to connect, you know, and then we have to revert to the same thing that we started originally with. It's ironical. Science and technology is such a good thing and such a hindrance for good things. So that is a paradox of how the thing works now. So we want to read a poem called This Poem. Okay, so I want to read a poem in this poem. Ironically, I did this poem years ago. And I came to South Africa when I went to Time going to our club. And I'm standing in the club and I'm hearing a house version of this poem. I said, wow, house version, and I never knew nothing about it. But it was really something else to come to South Africa and stand up in that club and hear a poem and people that jump and a dance to it. This poem shall speak of the wretched sea that what ships to these shores, of mothers crying for their young swallowed up by the sea. This poem shall say nothing new. This poem shall speak of time, time unlimited, time undefined. This poem shall call names, names like Lumumba, Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Hannibal, Appleton, Malcolm, Garvey, Haile Selassie. This poem is vexed about apartheid, racism, fascism, the Ku Klux Klan, riots in Brixton, Atlanta, Jim Jones. This poem is revolting against first world, second world, third world, division, man-made decision. This poem is like all the rest. This poem will not be amongst great literary works, will not be recited by poetry enthusiasts, will not be quoted by politicians nor men of religion. This poem is knives, bombs, guns, blood, fire, blazing for freedom. Yes, this poem is a drum, Ashanti, Ma, Igbo, Yoruba, Nyabingi warriors, Uhuru, Namibia, Uhuru Soweto, Uhuru Africa. This poem will not change things. This poem needs to be changed. This poem is a rebirth for people, arising, awakening, understanding. This poem is speaking, has spoken. This poem shall continue even when poets have stopped writing. This poem shall survive you, me, It shall linger in history, in your mind, in time, forever. This poem is time, only time will tell. This poem is still not written. This poem has no poet. This poem is just a part of the story. His story, her story, our story. The story is still untold. This poem is now ringing, talking, irritating, making you want to stop it. But this poem will not stop. This poem is long, cannot be short. This poem cannot be tamed, cannot be blamed. The story is still not told about this poem. This poem is old, new. This poem was copied from the Bible, your prayer book, Playboy magazines, the New York Times, Reader's Digest, the CIA files, the KGB files. This poem is no secret. This poem shall be called boring, stupid, senseless. This poem is watching you trying to make sense from this poem. This poem is messing up your brains, making you want to stop listening to this poem. But you shall not stop listening to this poem. You need to know what will be said next in this poem. This poem shall disappoint you because this poem is to be continued in your mind.
How does it work? It's working, right? Okay, check it. 1, 2. What's going on? Okay. Okay. Are you gonna hold it correctly? Yeah. Check it out, right? They put it like this, né? It's like and the whole it's all been weird. You don't say. And the whole span of load shedding belongs to victims of no sharing. There is no getting some gold when this real wrong system will go spreading. Karina is the wrongest thing. Your esophagus did not just get a problem because you blow with this. The problem is Karina is a beer at a bar. Karina is Toyota's Fiat car. Japanese, not Chinese, but it's product to the mall anyway. Forgetting it can turn around and bite us in many ways.
In closing, I think we'd like to thank Muta before we open it up to an open session. Muta, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Thank you so much. Cool, ladies and gents, thank you for coming out in numbers. Thank you for going virtual. There's Mac Manaka.
Ngekho